by those other beings who ultimately are doing what? Creating an environment of shame, blame, and guilt surrounded by propaganda, so we can no longer go back to our natural birthing orders, back to our natural order, living on the land, instead of being disconnected in the cities, disconnected from a dream world, connected into materialism and consumerism, and not allowed to have a social structure that's a patriarchal dominated society, but a mutually accepted society, where equity and equality for all kind is that actual equity and quality.
Wow. That's profound.
It's very profound, and it's important that people understand that, you know, we are in a time where our belief system means everything. I would like to read the one for the Divine Masculine, unless you'd like to read it. Everyone has a different experience when they read it. It's very similar to the one that you've read in the Divine Feminine. It's just written from the Divine Masculine part. Would you be game for trying that?
I would prefer to read it, but I want the voice of an author.
Okay.
It's so moving. But yes, you will please send me those two. Perhaps it can be available on the New Earth Nation.
It's available. All of these are available on my website. Just
okay.
1 second. I'll actually send you the document here in just a second. Okay. I'm doing this live on air, and I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
Okay, I have it. The contract removal.
Yep,
so
yep,
good.
Yep,
good.
Contract removal. Santi's got it right there. I'll go ahead and read the Divine Masculine real quick. It's about the same length. So this is the soul contract revocation for the Divine Masculine. I call to all spiritual contracts that exist within my past, present, and future beings, selves, and existence in this dimension and time stream, and all time streams above and below the Earth-centric sine wave of coexistence. At this exact moment, in the ever-present co-creative moment, I summon all DNA lineage ancestors to create a unified, proper spiritual cord of equity, so I may find remedy and resolve with all contracts that have been inserted fine print during the pre-birth, birth, and puberty process. I call forth the proper spiritual cord of equity to hear my decree of contract removal. I call forth all ancestors of all soul relations to hold space in this spiritual cord of equity. I call to Mother Earth and all her light denizens with all inner and outer space to come forward and occupy this spiritual cord of equity. O great mystery, who is the source of all power, I call to you, come with your sacred synchronicities, so all beings may hold space with unity consciousness. I call the Great Spirit who lives within great mystery, you, the powers of Mother Earth manifested, I call to your wisdom in this I am moment. Bless me as I walk this sacred soil. Bless me as I breathe your sacred air. Bless me as I warm myself with sacred fire. Bless me with your sacred waters of life. Bless me as I learn to walk with personal power. Today I travel the great unknown. Grant me the wisdom to be humble. Grant me the wisdom to love, even when love is not returned. Grant me the knowledge to balance my way of being, so I may heal my family, my tribe, my nation, and our Mother Earth. I am ready to invoke my natural rights as a sovereign male being born to Earth Mother through the womb of a sacred feminine who was also born this way. I invoke my natural rights as a being of Earth Mother. I was born under the natural laws. With this wisdom of my natural birth, I reclaim my place in the natural world. I revoke all energetic contracts with all people I've had sex with that was influenced by propaganda-based mass media or pornography. I return myself to the 0 point of the fetus in my mother's womb. I revoke all contracts with all perverted sacred masculine mystery schools who have operated with false information, who have created a patriarchal dominated society. I cancel, cure, or delete all contracts that pervert the sacred masculine during the birth canal phase of life. I revoke all spiritual contracts that create a sense of competition between the male species when dealing with any sacred feminine expression. I revoke all cultural taboos that create emotional distancing from women. I revoke all perverted spiritual contracts that place me in the incorrect sex that I chose before my birth. I revoke all spiritual contracts that create perversion of the male sensual expression of sensual behavior. I revoke all contracts that create perversion of the male sensual behavior. I revoke all contracts that house, hold, or store my sacred masculine energy to promote male-dominant sports, activities, or entertainment that demoralize or degrade the sacred feminine. I revoke all systems of patriarchal domination in the family unit. I return all definitions of family to Earth Mother, so remedy and resolve can be endeavored between all families now healing the patriarch concepts. I revoke all cultural contracts I incarnated or reincarnated with that create a male-dominated structure society. I return the sacred feminine to its right and proper place as equal partners in this co-creation experience of life. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all religions I have existed in that do not give full rights, duties, and responsibilities and total equity to the sacred feminine and masculine. I revoke all spiritual contracts that retain me in any way, shape, or form or force me via soul contract to serve in war. I delete all patriot programming that creates a lust for war. I revoke all spiritual contracts that define the male as war-oriented. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all governments that I have served with in all times of war. I revoke all spiritual contracts that create a war-based, male-dominated military-industrial complex. I revoke all contracts that create a male-serving, servicing sex industry that dominates women in any way, shape, or form. I revoke all spiritual contracts that create a sense of uncleanliness within my sacred masculine expression. I revoke all contracts that keep me trapped in shame, blame, or guilt created by perverted masculine or perverted feminine personalities. I revoke all contracts with the incubus and succubus grids I may have dealt with in all of my past, present, and future lives. I hereby banish the entire incubus and succubus grid from my reality for all of eternity. I hereby revoke my entire citizenship to all representations of kingship, dictatorship, religious monarchies, religious councils, or representative government concepts. I hereby permanently remove myself from all Dreamtime societies interwoven with the system of domination and control that caused the erasure of our oral teachers and historians throughout the entire indigenous world. I hereby revoke every decision I have ever made while in service to the system of domination and control. All decisions made for me by soul contract holding representatives of government are now placed in a proper spiritual court of equity with all ancestors present, so we may find remedy and resolve, not justice or judgment. I now state with full sovereign conviction that I, Andrew Bartzis, am now fully present in the mighty I am self. I declare from this point forth I now operate with a permanent spiritual court of equity when relating to healing the divine masculine or feminine, so perversion never enters my field of expression. I hereby declare that Earth Mother is now in dominion with me for all forms of interpersonal relation, for all sentient kind existing and coexisting on Earth Mother's realm. I call forth all ancestors to honor this reading of my free will and enter it into the Earth Akashic record, for all sentient kind to understand our freedom comes with the use of free will at all times.
Oh, beautiful. No. I love that you finished with freedom.
Every time, freedom comes with the use of free will at all times, and that includes your natural birthrights. You have to use them. Use them.
It's one of the equations. And you mentioned competition. I remember I was young in the 70s or late 60s. Conrad Lawrence won the Nobel Prize for Medicine, and his book was on aggression, denoting that aggression and competition had been the reason why we were able to build Manhattan and go to the moon. And it's interesting that within the same field of medical anthropology, they now say it's the reverse. It was our capacity of sitting around the fire and sharing stories and helping each other that gave us the strength to build Manhattan and go to the moon. It's the collaboration between all that is our strength, our wealth here. For
our abundance.
Our abundance. It's a very interesting. It's so good to break those contracts, to revoke those allegiances. And we can do that so many times a day, to revoke allegiances that just make us look so flat.
Or the conflicting belief systems that ultimately prevent you from following the natural way.